All right, here it is. All right, time to get serious with midterm. Let me just go over some of the basics because this is going to be the first midterm you guys take next week. All right, Monday's a regular day of class, then Tuesday is our midterm. So just make sure it's Tuesday, right? 1 to 3, and that's it. 1 to 3. All right, you only have 2 hours to take it. All right, pencils down at 3 o'clock. It's not like in here, you need a couple extra minutes to finish the quiz or test. I have no problem with that. Not for this one. Okay, it ends at 3 o'clock, but it is designed to finish under 2 hours. So just keep that in mind. It's 1 to 3, and we're in the cafeteria. If you haven't written that down, seat number up on Classroom. Please do not come into the cafeteria Tuesday without your seat number. All right, I have 3 other classes taking a midterm in there that I need to organize. The last thing I need is one of you, hey, Anna, what's my seat number? I'm just going to look at you, pat you on the back, and say, good luck, young buck, finding that seat. Get on your way. Okay? It's not hard to find either if you don't look on. We're all sitting in the same area of the cafeteria in alphabetical order, and on your desk will be a bubble sheet with your name on it. So, all right, even if you forget your seat number, it's not that hard. Just find your bubble sheet. All right? So what am I bringing to the exam? Not what am I, what are you bringing? Because I'm not bringing any extra, right? You're going to bring pens, blue or black. You hear me, Dylan? Blue or black pens, okay? Blue or black. Why? The entire test needs to be done in pen, including this bubble sheet that you're going to fill out for part 1, all the multiple choices. The only thing you can do in pencil, graphs. Okay, anytime you graph, anything can be done in pencil. All right, but everything else is done in pen. If anybody's worried, because I understand you're worried you might make a mistake in pen, and what do I do then? Do your whole test in pencil. And then when you're all done, sure of yourself, ready to hand it in, go over it in pen. Or bring a erasable pen. Those are 2 options if you're worried about making a mistake. I put calculator on there because I haven't changed this. This is the first year I've worked with the Numworks. I'm going to bring all the calculators for you. It'll be on your desk, so don't worry about it. And then you got to bring a straight edge for any graphing problem. Right? Throw it in a Ziploc bag, and you're all set. That's not much for what to bring, but I'm not going to bring any extra because I know I got some freshmen in the room. When you walk into the cafeteria, you can only bring in the supplies and water. Everything else stays outside the cafeteria. Your backpacks, phones, whatever else you're bringing. All right, that stays outside the cafeteria. The only thing allowed in the cafeteria are those supplies and if you're going to bring any water. All righty? And then here you go. Here's how the test is made up. 22 multiple choice. Take your time on those. Take your time because they're 2 points apiece. And those points build up quickly if you're wrong. All right, they build up quickly. They'll be answered on a bubble sheet like I have this one right up here. You'll fill it in pen. Part 2, what do I mean by open-ended? That's just show your work. Okay, show your work. And then, I know we're so happy to hear this. 3 proofs at the end. All right, all 3 different types of proofs. 80 points, no curve. We've gone over all this, no curve. Okay, we're not curving this thing. Any questions? I'll probably grade them on Wednesday. Probably have them all done on Wednesday, and then they'll be up on Aspen sometime on Wednesday. All right, you will see it. It's the only way I can put it on Aspen, but they'll be showing in the quarter 2 section of Aspen, but not count towards quarter 2. We went over this, right? It's 1/6 of your overall grade. All right, it counts just as much as a quarter does. All right, but it's not part of quarter 2, but it's the only way I can put it on Aspen to show you what you got. All right, any questions about the makeup or anything else here? All right, I've emailed everyone, but just in case you don't check your email very often, outside of after school, I have 2 review sessions. I'm coming in Saturday. I'll be here from 11 to 1. Probably, if you're going to come, enter through the doors in the back here. All right, in the back parking lot. Just it's easier. I'll unlock it, and it's easier to get up to my room from there instead of going through the front of the school. You can come and go as you please. You don't have to stay the full 2 hours or 3 hours and 15 minutes on Tuesday. Come and go as you please. If you have other friends that is going to take the geometry AB midterm, they can come too. But I'm telling you, if you're coming to one of these, it's a business session. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna walk around, what's the school look like on a Saturday? It's coming for a business session. So bring all your materials and be ready to work. Okay, be ready to work. Same thing on Tuesday, the morning of the exam. I'll be here 9 to 12:15, but come and go as you please. Okay? Any questions from you guys before we jump right into it? I only have 3 days. I only have 3 days here with you. If these 3 days are the only time you're going to review, good luck to you. All right, good luck to you. All right, have people failed this midterm? Yes, they have. Have people gotten 100? Yes, they have. All right, everything in between. All right, the last thing, I do not want people to email me or come, why did I do so bad? I'll tell you right now, because you're lazy and you didn't put any effort into it. I'll be real with you. All right, that's why you didn't do well. So don't email me and ask me why. All right, because you know already. All right, you know already. Your grade will reflect the effort you put in. All right? All right, here we go. I got 3 days here with you. I'm not going to waste your time. All right? What I do in class these 3 days has something to do with the midterm. All right? I'm just not, hey, everyone, let's go through midterm review number 1 and do every question when I know some of those questions aren't going to be on the midterm, those topics. So I'm not going to waste your time. You're going to see me bounce around from midterm review to midterm review, all right, doing questions that pertain to the exam. So as we do these questions today, might be a good idea to star them. So right before you start actually getting hardcore studying, you can look through and be like, all right, we did this question in class. We did this question. Do I know about this topic? Do I know about this topic? All right, I am not going to waste your time in the next 3 days. First thing I want to do with you, there are formulas you're going to need for the midterm, which will not be given to you. Attached to your midterm will be the same formula sheet I gave all of you yesterday for the test. What are the only 2 formulas on there that you're probably going to use? Quadratic formula and Pythagorean theorem. So you'll be given those 2. There's 4 that you will not be given that will probably show up on Tuesday. So let's go over those 4. What I call the big 3 of geometry, you'll need to know, and you're not given. And then there's a 4th one that we did in our quadrilateral unit. So anybody know what I'm talking about, the big 3? That will not be given to you Tuesday, but you're going to have to know them and use them. The big 3 in geometry here. Nothing? Bailey?
Distance.
Let's start distance formula. Yep, that's one of them. Absolutely. Distance formula. Big square root. And then I got x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Yep, distance formula, one of the big 3. Another one. Lex, go ahead. Alexi. Slope, yeah, absolutely. All right, let me talk slower about slope. There's 2 different versions you guys can have. You can take the points. All right, you're going to be given 2 xy points, and you can plug them into y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 if you prefer. Or there will be scrap graph paper attached to your midterm for you to use that I won't grade. There'll be scrap graph paper. So if you prefer to graph those points and use rise over run, you can. So 2 options. Plug the coordinates in to y2 minus y1, or graph it on the scrap graph paper we'll give you and do rise over run and count it. All right, last one in the big 3. Lily? Darn right, midpoint formula. And that's when I add my x's and divide by 2, and then I add my y's and divide by 2. Okay, so there are the big 3 from geometry. And then I just want to remind you of one more that'll probably come up. Hey, I'm an octagon. How many degrees do I have in me? There's a formula we did, right? Sum of the interior angles of a polygon. Everybody remember that one? What's up, Bailey? Go, let's roll.
180 times n minus 2.
Perfect. 180 times n minus 2. And let's remind ourselves, n is number of sides of that polygon. Okay, number of sides. And there you go. Could be a lot worse. All right, those are the 4. Pythagorean theorem, quadratic formula will be on the formula sheet that's attached to the midterm. Any other formulas or anything you can think of before we get into questions? Again, I pick specific questions because it's going to come up on the midterm. So let's go to midterm review. In this packet, just so you know, in this packet, you have 7 reviews. All right, all the answers are up on Classroom. Tomorrow, I'm going to post 3 extra ones for a total of 10. All right, plenty of questions to try. Plenty of questions. No excuses there. I'm going to start with midterm review number 3, please. I'm going to jump to midterm review number 3 and do a couple specific questions with you, starting with number 1. Which pair of lines are not parallel? Which lines are not parallel to each other? All right, I'll show you what I would expect here, and then I'll show you a little trick too. All right, what am I looking for on each pair of lines then to determine if they're parallel or not? What do I need to find on each pair of lines? Their slopes, because if 2 lines are parallel, what do I know about the slopes? Same slope. All right, so let's go through each choice right now. Choice 1, line 1, y equals negative 3x plus 9. Is it the 9 or the negative 3 is the slope? Negative 3. So the slope here, I'll write m equals negative 3. You cannot tell me in the next line it's negative 6. You can't determine the slope unless it's in y equals form. So what do I need to do with that too? Divide it out. Yep, divide both sides by 2. And I'll end up with y equals negative 3x minus 4, it looks like. And where's the slope here? The negative 4 or the negative 3? Negative 3. All right, so those are parallel. And we're looking for the one that's not parallel to each other. All right, I don't know if they showed you this last year in Algebra 1. Unfortunately, I didn't find out about it until I taught you guys this in Unit 3. Number 2, you're going to have to do a lot of work, right? Move over the x, divide by what's in front of the y. Are you aware that your numworks calculator will put it in y equals form for you? How about that, huh? So how do I get 4x minus 2y equals negative 10 into y equals form? Here you go. You need to go to Grapher. Go to the Grapher part of the calculator. You're not going to actually graph it, but go to Grapher and type in that first equation, 4x minus 2y equals 10. Most of you probably already have it in there because we did it last period. So, but make sure you can type that in though. All right, if you had to type it in yourself, could you? I know most of you have it's already in there from last period. Don't graph it. I don't want you to graph it. So everyone has it typed in, including the equals 10. Now you will see to the right, there are 3 dots to the right. That's where you want to go. So after you type it in, make sure you hit enter so it's highlighted. And then head over to those 3 dots for me. Enter. And the first one that pops up is details. That's where you want to live. Details. And look at that. If you go down, it tells you what the slope and the y-intercept is. So you can automatically write it into y equals form. You're welcome. So what for this one right here, it's going to be y equals, if I go back, 2x minus 5, according to the calculator. And now you can do it for the rest too if it's not in y equals form. So I'll let you guys go. Go ahead and solve this problem now. And figure out which set of lines are not parallel. Not parallel. I think the only drawback to doing what I just showed you is sometimes if the slope or the y-intercept is a fraction, does it give it to you in a fraction or just a decimal? Yeah, that's the drawback, is the decimal. So you got to make sure that decimal matches the fraction slope in the other one. Okay, that's the only drawback. It doesn't give you. But I'm pretty sure if you go to calculation, you go to the calculation screen and type in that decimal, it'll, oh, maybe not, it won't turn into a fraction. All right, so we just got to try it out. All right, so we can move on. Are we finding which one's not parallel? Choice 4, not parallel. Reason being, the slope here for the first line is -5. Slope for the second line is +5. Those are not equal to each other. Are they perpendicular? Perpendicular? Are they negative reciprocals, those two numbers? You got the negative part, you don't have the reciprocal part though. Reciprocal means flip it, right? These have no relation, all right? They're not parallel or perpendicular, so. Everyone good there? All right, let's go. Not wasting your time. Pop over to 8. Pop over to 8. All right, which one of these choices is good enough to say it's a parallelogram? A, B, C, D. Let's go. Choice 1. 1 being congruent to 3. What type of angles am I looking at there? 1 and 3 are corresponding. All right, what lines are parallel now? If 1 and 3 are congruent, what lines are parallel? And if you're having a tough time, watch. Highlight them. Can you tell the parallel lines now? Which one? K, L, M, N? Which are parallel now? If those two are equal, which lines are parallel? M and N or L and K? Look, just take a look. Here, here, right? What lines are those? M, N, N. All right, well, if you knew M was parallel to N, is that good enough to say that's a parallelogram? One pair of opposite sides parallel? Not in this class, absolutely not. That's not good enough. So let's keep going. Choice 2, 4 congruent to 7. What type of angles are those? Yeah, alternate interior. Now what lines are parallel? KN. Is that good enough to say it's a parallelogram? Nope, I still have one pair. I need both pair. All right, let's go to choice 3. 2 congruent to 5. What type of angles? And what lines are parallel now? KN. L. All right, and now they tell me 5 and 7 are equal. What type of angles are 5 and 7? Corresponding, and what lines are parallel with 5 and 7 are equal? Which lines? M and N. Is this a parallelogram? Yes, opposite sides parallel. I do want to go over choice 4 though. And I want to know why choice 4 doesn't work. All right, first step, 1 and 3. What lines are parallel with 1 and 3 again? M and N. Still not good enough. 3 and 4. Oh boy, I know how this goes in here. 3 and 4. Vertical. That doesn't mean any lines are parallel, right? Vertical angle does not imply any lines parallel, so don't even care about that. All right, we're all set. All right, go to review number 4. I'm jumping around here. I want to do questions that mean something to me. Review 4, number 4. All right, we're labeling our diagram. City A to City B, 200, and City B to City C, 300. So what could be the distance from A to C? Now, I know some of you might be popping in your mind the Pythagorean theorem. Nope. That only works for right triangles. All right, Pythagorean theorem can only be used in a right triangle, and this is not a right triangle. We're not assuming it is. All right, so where can I find that possible distance? All right, let's dig up a fact from Unit 5. If I am going to have a triangle, the sides of the triangle, the sides, two of the sides added up have to be bigger than the third side. The sum of two sides added up have to be greater than the third side. And when we did that, when I showed you that fact, we had a little method to figure out what the missing side could be. All right, so I got AC in the middle. AC could be between these two values. Anybody remember the method? It could be bigger than this, but smaller than this. And how did we find those two numbers? It could be in between. Challenge period 1 got it. I don't know if that makes you feel bad or not, but how do I find the two numbers they have to be in between? It has to do something with the two sides I gave you. Stephanie, let's roll.
Adding them together and subtracting.
Yeah, thanks for redeeming and saving period 2. I add them and subtract them. So 300 minus 200, it's got to be in between 100 miles, and add them, 300 plus 200, it's got to be in between 500. So somewhere greater than 100, but less than 500. And there's only one choice up there, huh? That fits that? So I wanted to go over this problem because I'm sure that fact will pop up on Tuesday. Sum of two sides has to be greater than the third. It has to be greater than the third. All right, 7. Let's pop over to 7. Here's another triangle fact from the same unit, I think. How do these three angles relate to each other? How do these three angles relate to each other? What's up, Court?
D and E equal EF. Or like add them together and it equals it.
Okay, I got add them together. What comes after that?
It equals the third number.
What do you mean, this one or this one?
The one outside.
Outside. So let's, ready? Here you go. The exterior angle, right? The one on the outside of a triangle is equal to, oh boy, this would be so awesome if you could come up with the name I gave these two. The two angles that are not next to the exterior one. You use it to change your television. Remote interior. There you go. Good job. Remote interior. There you go. Brought a real world example in there, huh? 8x plus 15 is equal to the sum adding the two remote interiors. And just check, quick check, make sure you're finding x. I don't need, make sure you don't need to substitute it back in to find a different angle. Make sure you're finding x. All right, we good? Oh, everyone's favorite, and I'm guaranteeing you're going to have to do one on the midterm. Partitions, number 9. And whether it comes with a graph or not, you're going to graph it. All right, so if it doesn't come with a graph next to the question on Tuesday, you take that scrap piece of graph paper on the back and you graph this sucker. because I need to know if your answer's on the line segment or not at the end. All right, here we go. We got to do X coordinate, then the Y coordinate. All right, first step, find how far apart your X's are. How far apart are your X coordinates? So as I go from -2 to 7, that's a total of 9 units. Yep. All right, you got to cut that 9 units into how many equal parts? That depends on the ratio. Here it's 1 to the left, 2 to the right. So that's how many equal units? 3 equal units. So I take 9, divide it by 3. I get 3. Now you have to figure out, using the ratio, how many times are you going to move 3 units? All right, how many times do I move 3 units? Well, what's the first number in my ratio? A 1. So that just tells me, hey, you take that 3 units and you just go once, 3 units. That tells you your total. So total of 3. That's not where I end up. That's how many units I'm going to move. Move from where? Where did I start? -2, move 3. Okay, so I end up at 1, hopefully, on the x-axis. Same steps, new numbers for the y-coordinate. Just be careful here. How many units are you going on the y-axis? How many units? 6, and a lot of people are telling me negative because you're going down, right? Yeah, so down 6. If you forget the negative, it's going to be okay. That's why you check. If you forget the negative, your point's going to be somewhere way up here. And then you're like, hey, oh, whoa, something went wrong. I did something wrong because I know that point should be on the line. So you go back, oh, I forgot to go down 6. Divided by 3, so that gives me down 2. Now you ask yourself, how many times do I go down 2? Again, first number in the ratio. I don't look at the second number. First number in the ratio, 1. So I'm total of down 2. And where did I start on the y-axis before I go down 2? 4, down 2. I should end up at 2, hopefully. And now here's where you can definitely tell before you go on to the next problem. Did I get this right or wrong? Where is 1, 2 on the graph? All right, 1. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Not only does it land on it, which is great, does it look like 1 to the left, 2 to the right? Yeah, darn right. So I'm pretty confident I got the right answer. Now, if it goes somewhere here, why are you going on to the next problem? Right? You know something went wrong somewhere. Fix it. Fix it. All right. Oh, and then it's everyone's favorite time. Let's do it. There's going to be 3 of them on there, so let's go. 13. It's just a matter of what type those 3 are going to be at the end of the exam. What type of proofs are those 3 going to be? Probably the ones I keep going over in class and the ones that are already in your packet. Something I did not put on the supply list because it's optional. If you want to bring your own colored pencils or highlighters, you can. All right, I'm not going to bring any, but if you want to bring some to use, that's fine. Optional though, not required. To highlight your diagrams, it's up to you. All right, what are the only way those two angles are getting congruent? Yeah, the triangle's got to be congruent, right? So I'm sure one of the three on the midterm are going to be proved triangles congruent. Maybe not as easy as this one, but all right. First, let's go over the givens because something's in there that's I want to make sure you're aware of. It says this is isosceles with vertex angle I. I don't know if we remember what that vocabulary term meant. The vertex angle in an isosceles triangle, that's the angle that's not congruent to the other two. So what am I basically telling you in the givens that I is the vertex angle? You don't need to write this down. I'm giving you if I is the vertex angle, what do you know about G and F? Those have to be the congruent angles. All right. So you do not have to write that down. That's implied in the given because I told you it's vertex angle I, because I is the one that's not congruent to the other two. So we do not need to put that in the proof. That's given. That F and G are congruent. All right. What are you going from here? I need to prove the triangle's congruent. What else do we know is true? One pair of angles isn't going to cut it. What else is true up here? It's going to be a lot worse on the midterm too. What do you got, Stellan?
GH and HF are congruent.
Oh, how about that, huh? The GH is congruent to HF. Where's that coming from? Knowing your vocabulary. That's where that's coming from. Why is that true? Median, ready? Let's review. Medians come from a vertice to the opposite sides midpoint, right? So because this is a median, H is a midpoint. But we write definition of a median. I don't want to, we can't see midpoint because midpoint was never mentioned up here. Medians are drawn from a vertice to a midpoint. Hey, look at you guys. Got a little side action there. Anywhere else you want to go? What's up, Corinc? What do you got over there?
GI equals IF.
All right, yeah, I agree with that. GI congruent to IF. In a triangle, congruent sides are across from congruent angles. Good work, everyone. And now it looks like, yeah.
What's the reason for proving G and F?
It's already in the givens. Because I gave you this because that vertex was angle I. The vertex angle is the one that's not congruent to the others. So I'm basically telling you what the two congruent angles are by saying this right here. So you don't need to state them. Yep. All right, what method do I have? Side angle side. So the triangles are congruent. GIH congruent to FIH. Side angle side. And yet, if anybody's thinking, could I have thrown in IH reflexive and done side, side, side? You could have. Absolutely. Yep. And then now the triangles are congruent, so are those angles. CPCTC. All right. I don't think I think the midterm one's going to be a little bit tougher than that one. All right. So tomorrow, first thing tomorrow, because I don't think 8 minutes is going to cut it. We're going to go over number 12, which we call a look at the proof statement. Remember what these types were? Indirect. Yep. So we'll go over that first thing tomorrow. Okay, here's what I'm suggesting. I am not coming around and looking at anything tomorrow. We've already talked. The amount of effort you put in preparation will reflect your grade. So I'm suggesting to finish review 3 or 4 tonight. That's what I'm suggesting. You want to do that? Great. If you don't, all right. I just don't want complaints when I hand back when you find out your grades from the midterm. All right, but this is what I'm suggesting tonight to complete review 3 or review 4. Don't do number 12. All right, we're going to save that for tomorrow. All right, first thing tomorrow, along with some other problems. All right, so I'm going to give you, we're not wasting time either in class. You got the next 8 minutes to start questions on review 3 or review 4. But that's my suggestion for tonight.